Hey, everybody. Specifically, those who may have been waiting, like, why is this not letting me pull up my chat, though? Okay, here we go. Okay, hey to everybody who's been waiting. Now I can see the chat. To Helen and Kevin Gresham and Vonda. Hey, Kylo and Vonda. So I'm gonna wait a little minute before people get in here. So I only have to make my disclaimer one time because it seems like no matter how many times you make certain disclaimers, people find a way to get offended by what you say. But did you guys hear that John Singleton passed? Like, he was in a coma, I think, for the past week, and then he just finally passed away. So we'll do a RIP to him. If I had some alcohol, I will pour some out for him. But he's made a number of different movies. I've been seeing people putting RIP to him all over the place. Sarista Celestial said, why do you care if they choose to get offended? If they choose to get offended, I don't care. But ultimately, my goal isn't to offend anyone or make them feel like I'm belittling their experience, especially with something that's very real as colorism. And so it's really not about me caring about if they choose to. I can only make a disclaimer. If they choose to beyond that, it's really on them. And that's just a reality, because I can't sit here and be responsible for somebody's personal choice after I've already made the statement of what it's about. Diva Wine, you know what's funny? Diva Wine said, I always used to confuse John Singleton with the Candyman actor. You know what? I did too. And so that's the thing. You not the only one they do favor. So yeah, don't feel bad about that. They definitely favor. So I was trying to watch Candyman a little while ago, and then I realized how much of a certified little raccoon he was. So I just stopped watching it. T. Williams said, do you get a wrench for being a Patreon? Yeah, if you want one. That's something that can be there for patrons. Here's the thing about the modding. People can come in here and they can absolutely I'm gonna look and to your thing and then make you a mod. Well, I'll make you a mod and I'll go back and look and confirm it, because you can always be demodded if need be. But here's the rules for the mods, and I do appreciate people modding for sure. You guys do a very, very good job of getting the trolls out of here. We're not going to what we're not going to do is we're not going to and for the people who want to be mods, email me and show me your stuff, and then I'll look into it to mod you, because I do need to, because some people will get on Patreon just to troll, and then they want to be a mod just to troll. So you'll have to send me your stuff. That's how I'm going to do that. But here's the thing. I do appreciate people modding, but we can't block people who have a difference of opinion. They can have a difference of opinion. They don't have to agree. We block them when they get disrespectful, or when they make an outlandish statement where they have a dissenting opinion, and then when they're told to explain their opinion, when they don't explain their opinion, that's when we because anybody who's really have a legit difference of opinion, they'll be willing to discuss it. If they're not willing to discuss it, they're probably a troll, and they probably just want to come in there and just say stuff. Nobody said you were a troll, but I said I'm gonna have to go look into your thing. Hey, Ogun son, how are you? But so let me say this, because I don't want to be on here for a long time. I want to be on here an hour max. We're not talking about anything right now today, Bobby, except for these comments on my bidirectional colorism video. So if you've watched it and you've seen the comments, then feel free to chime in on those. But what's going to happen is, T. Williams, I said email me. Take a screenshot of your Patreon account and email it to me. That's what I want you to do. But so what we're gonna talk about is this bidirectional colorism comments, and that's why I said I wanted to wait to put out my disclaimer that my goal is not to denigrate dark skinned women. It's not to really demean their experience at all. Um, it's simply to give a certain perspective of what I'm seeing and what I have seen with regard to colorism in the Black community. Um, a lot of it is common sense, but it seems like when people go through certain experiences and they get triggered by what you say, and it doesn't matter if you say, well, I'm not trying to offend, I understand you guys have this plight, however you do engage in the behavior that you're talking about. Hey, Carib. And Carib, if you want to come up and discuss this too, I would love to have you up here. It's funny, I was literally just saying how I would love to have you on here. So if you do, let me know, and I'll send you the link if you're able to, because I would love to have the discussion with you on here. But I'll say it again. My goal is not to offend anyone. I understand that dark skinned women do. It is undisputable that dark skinned women suffer colorism the most. It is indisputable that they do that. I don't think anybody can intellectually say that anybody experiences colorism worse than dark skinned women. Dark skinned Black men don't experience it, because really dark skinned Black men are the preference. They have positive connotations attached to their dark skin. It's not the same for the women. But what this is about is whether or not colorism is bidirectional, meaning dark-skinned and light-skinned people practice colorism. That's what this is about. And I thought that I cleared this up in the video, but apparently it went over some people's heads, mostly a lot of the dark-skinned women in the comment section. This literally went over their head, where they felt like they should then turn the discussion around and dissect my skin tone, and try to speak to my experiences of colorism, which I've already said I have not experienced colorism. And if I say that I haven't experienced colorism, then I haven't experienced colorism. I don't need to experience colorism to know what it is and to recognize when it's being perpetuated. And I recognize when it's been perpetuated. And while I won't say that all dark-skinned Black women perpetuate it, they absolutely do perpetuate it. And I can run you off the top of my head some ways that they perpetuate it already. Just by virtue of the fact that generally the discussion, when a lot of dark-skinned women are talking about colorism, they focus more on light-skinned women than the institutions that actually practice it. They focus more on light-skinned women and how they benefit from their light skin than focusing on the root cause of colorism towards dark-skinned women. And so by default, you're perpetuating colorism. The accusal of people who may be lighter than you of bleaching their skin is perpetuating colorism. When you can't uplift dark skin without tearing down light skin, that's perpetuating colorism. Now, if we're going to go to an institutional level, then no Black person can really practice colorism. If you're going to go by, okay, let me send you the link, Carib. Because when we get to these comments, you're going to see how a lot of these women are relegating colorism to the societal beauty standard, which light-skinned women didn't set. They're relegating it to derogatory comments about dark skin, which anybody can make, and I see quite a bit of dark skin people doing that too. And they're relegating it to Black men's dating options. Black women's sphere, it definitely exists. It definitely exists. And it's a global thing, really, if you think about it. It's global. As sure as you have white supremacy being global, colorism is global. But it's about whether or not you have both people on both sides, dark and light skin, perpetuating it. Carib, I sent you the link, and I think this is where a lot of dark skinned women, at least in my comment section, got triggered because they feel like they don't perpetuate it. And not only do they feel like they don't perpetuate it, one of them actually asserted that the only people who could practice colorism is what I think that she said white people, black men, and light skinned women. This is what was said. And completely exempted dark skinned women from even being able to practice colorism. Many of them compared it to racism and said, saying that a dark skinned black woman can perpetuate colorism is the same as saying that a black person can perpetuate racism. That makes no sense, and that's absolutely because you're literally talking about two different things, especially based on the way that they describe it. So Ryan 2017 said dark skinned women can't perpetuate colorism. What's colorism? What do you define, Ryan? And this is where we weed out the trolls from. Let me tell you, y'all are not going to troll me. So I'm going to tell you now, if you have certain comments that you need that's going to annoy me, that you don't intend to explain, you need to super chat those because you're not going to annoy me for free. You're just not going to. And you're not going to troll for free. But soon as Carib gets here, we'll start getting into the comments because I do want to get her take on it. But I want to tell people who may not have known where this is coming from. I did a video. It had a picture of Masika on it. Masika is she's a public figure, okay? Light-skinned girl public figure. She was on Love and Hip Hop and Growing Up Hip Hop. She's in a basketball arena, and a woman got under her picture and basically accused her of bleaching her skin. Okay, black woman, spirit, I got you. So she was accused of bleaching her skin. Okay. Now, you had in the comments a bunch of women, most of them being dark skinned, accusing her of skin bleaching, picking apart her skin tone. Now, what I said in that scenario was by the focus being on her skin tone, by default, you're practicing colorism to the degree of accusing her of bleaching her skin. Now, I don't know if you guys know who the market is for skin bleaching, but it's actually not light-skinned women. There is a market, a target market for skin bleaching. It's not marketed towards light-skinned women. It is targeted towards dark-skinned people in general. That is just a reality. Hey, Carib.
Hey, Sin, how are you?
Good.
I just
I'm
watched
glad
the
you're up
video.
here.
Yeah, I just watched the video, so I know your position, so I'm interested to hear what the comments said because I was actually writing a comment when you went live.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you are because you're like very sensible, and it's like it's one thing doing a video, but to have a live discussion, it's good to have the insight of someone who actually experiences colorism. Um, because I know, with the whole thing with George and you and him had the back and forth over it, so I know that this is something obviously that's very important, as it should be. It's a serious issue. It definitely is.
Definitely.
And so, but when we get into the discussion of how to heal the issue, if certain people who perpetuate it, and I see them perpetuating it, don't want to acknowledge that they perpetuate it, how can anything get resolved? Because I've seen and I've had in my family dark skinned women tell their children to stay out of the sun so they don't get darker. Or they will say, get your black ass out of the sun so you don't get
Mm-hmm.
darker.
Oh yeah, and they tell us a lot of dark skinned women not to have kids with dark skinned men
Hmm.
and get these black babies. So yeah, yeah. So I will get into that, but yes, I definitely agree with a lot of what you said. There are some parts I disagree with, but yeah, there are some parts I agree with.
Yeah, and see that was the crux of what I'm saying is that is it a bi-directional thing, or is it just what a lot of them say, where they're basically saying, okay, well, you just have white people, light skinned people, and dark skinned black men perpetuating colorism. You also have the element of women, dark skinned women creating mixed children that they say is going to take preference over them. So
Hmm.
how would that not be perpetuating colorism? Like that has to be perpetuating colorism, because you're creating this child that you're saying is going to take precedence over people and get favor over people that are not dark skinned.
Yep. I mean, to get into the overall piece of it, I do think colorism is bidirectional, but I think there's a caveat to that, right? So
Hmm.
when I tell people about colorism, I think that they always attach it just to the plight of dark skinned women, but I always say that there are really two victims of colorism in the black community: dark skinned women and light skinned men. And the reason being is because of the associations that are attached to complexion, right? So when people
Hmm.
think of dark skin, they think of masculinity and strength. And so for the dark skinned man, that's a positive. For the dark skinned woman, that isn't, right? And when people think of light skin in the black community, think of femininity and softness. And for the light skinned woman, that's a plus. For the light skinned man, not so much. So I always say that light skinned men are sometimes left out of the conversation, but they are victims of colorism too, just in a very different way. But I do think it is bidirectional. But I will tell you, Cynthia, I think it's more reactionary bidirectional. So I think when you have dark skinned women who are choosing to procreate and make lighter kids or biracial children, they are attempting to shield those kids in some kind of way from the disparagement and the treatment that they've gotten as dark skinned women. And so I think when you talk about like the comments made to Masika, I know you're going to get into those that were left on your video. A lot of those I think are reactionary. So I'm not saying that dark skinned women can't perpetuate colorism, but I think it's a very different kind. I don't think it's the kind that's saying because you are a light skinned woman, you are XYZ. I think it's saying because you are a light skinned woman, you are granted um, certain passes that I don't get as a dark skinned woman. And so I do think it's more reactionary than kind of straight vitriol. But I think that's kind of the difference for me.
Yeah, and I do agree that it is reactionary. Like that's why I say there is a reason, and a valid reason, for dark skinned women to focus on the issue of colorism. There is a very valid reason, because just like you said, there are a number of negative connotations attached to dark skin in general. Although I've said several times I think it's the most beautiful skin out there, bar none. But still, though, when we get into the conversation, because it's like I see certain people on YouTube, for example, even with Crystal and Kara's, and I know it's what you said that it is. She talks heavily about colorism, but what are the children that she's creating? She has a child by a black man, and then she has multiple children by a white man. So ultimately, even in her household, there's going to be an element of colorism there, because she has one light skinned child, one dark skinned child who is in the midst of a bunch of different light skinned people who have different features that are going to be favored over hers, hair textures that are going to be favored over her child. How is that going to make her dark skinned child feel?
Right. And I think that's what you see this in a lot of families too, right? When you have, because even in my family, I'm dark skinned, my younger sister is light skinned. Now I can always tell people that, have I been the victim of colorism directly? No. But do I understand that colorism is a real thing in our community? Absolutely. More so by the I guess you call it the passive colorism that you sometimes experience. And you mentioned that situation with George, for example. Like sometimes the passive colorism that darker skinned women experience happens a lot within the family when you have a lighter skinned child versus a darker skinned child. But I think what you're seeing with a lot of these biracial relationships, especially if the woman is a darker skin, she's trying to avoid her child experiencing that same kind of situation. And I don't think that's the right way to do it, right? I don't think that you can, procreate out your blackness. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, I
no.
don't think that's the smart thing to do. But I do understand for a lot of those women that is some of the causality behind some of those pieces too.
Well, because it seems like in the comment section, and that's why I asked the person who made in this comment saying that dark skinned women can't perpetuate colorism. I'm trying to find out how that person defines colorism, because I know in in my comment section, on one hand, it kind of sounds like they're relating it to an institutional problem, and then on the other hand, they're saying, oh well, these lighter skinned women, which they are the beauty standard. And it's like, okay, but light skinned women didn't start or set or define the beauty standard. They didn't define the beauty standard. So would the issue be more with them, who are simply by default a part of the beauty standard that a society that we already know based on white supremacy set? Or would you have more of an issue with white supremacy, which set them
Mm-hmm.
as the beauty standard? And then other of them are saying, well, dark skinned women are overlooked as mating options, which is like, okay, well, if we're relegating it to somebody's mating options or derogatory comments, then that means both people can perpetuate it. Like, even when, and I get that you see mostly the men doing this, of course, but when you see someone who's making negative comments about dark skin, it's usually a dark skinned person.
Mm-hmm.
Can I
Absolutely.
can I come in really quickly? Hey, Kara, hey,
Yeah.
Sam.
Hey.
Um, so we know how the standard was set. We know that, light skinned women just didn't wake up one day and be born and say, you know what, I'm gonna be born light skinned so I can be the preference. We
Mm-hmm.
know that it wasn't them, but this is just the thing though. We would be really silly to sit up and act like light skinned women don't benefit from from white supremacy and the standard that they set for beauty. And the thing is that there are some light-skinned women who don't fall into that cockiness and they don't fall into that shit. They remain to be very humble. And then we have a lot of light-skinned women who fall into that shit and start feeling real special. And as soon as they uh come into any type of opposition with a dark-skinned black woman, the first thing they want to do is call her ugly, talk about the color of her skin. And it's because they have those Saturday. Sorry, y'all. My dog
Mm-hmm.
is really disruptive, but because they have that sense of privilege that a lot of white people have, that they literally go around using it. And we're not going to act like that does not happen. And we're not going to act like light-skinned women don't use that privilege against other dark-skinned women, calling them ugly, calling them roaches, and all types of shit. It happens. It happens
Well,
all the
I would
time.
never deny that it happens, and I never once denied that it happens. My argument is that it happens on the side of dark skinned women too. That they do some of the, now they may
True.
not be able to use the light skin privilege. Obviously, they can't use light skin privilege. But whether they make derogatory comments towards other dark skinned people, absolutely they do that. They do that. And it's just to negate that a dark skinned woman, which was the basis of the vitriol in my comment section. The problem that they're having is that I'm saying that this is bi-directional, saying that dark-skinned women can perpetuate and do perpetuate, although not to the same extent, but they do perpetuate colorism. And that's the problem that they're having, is that I'm saying, okay, well, this isn't something that's just being perpetuated with people who are not dark-skinned, including the women, because they'll like to say, this is something that dark skinned black men perpetuate and then light skinned and white people perpetuate. But it's like, no, it's not. You have dark skinned women perpetuating colorism too. Like, even when I mentioned on there that the women, like how I've seen women, dark skinned women, tell their kids not to go out in the sun because they'll get darker. Someone actually sit on here, and I'm going to find the comment, and told me that that's not perpetuating colorism. And to me, that's absolutely intellectually and factually a lie, because that is perpetuating, because you're teaching that child by default to have a disdain for dark skin, not only on themselves, but on other dark skinned people. That child will likely grow up then and not like dark skin because they were told to avoid it. They were told to somehow try to not even get darker. So naturally, they're going to go out and try to choose a lighter mate so that they're not creating dark skinned children. Now, someone sat there and told me that that's not perpetuating colorism.
So are we comparing this to the fact that they say black people can't be racist as well as dark skinned women
Yeah,
can't
some
be
of them are doing
colorist?
that. Yeah, some of them are doing that. They're doing exactly that. But they're mostly not talking about it on an institutional level, though. They're not mentioning the institutional, like they're not saying, and I think that they're not mentioning it on an institutional level because even though light-skinned people benefit from it on an institutional level, how often are they actually subjecting dark-skinned women to colorism on an institutional level?
Well, for me, I just think that it's really touchy as women who aren't dark skinned to touch on that topic of colorism and dark skinned black women, because dark skinned black women have a very difficult time in this world. They have a very difficult time in our community. They are judged, they are called ugly just for their skin tone. They are objectified. It's a lot of things that happen to dark skinned black women that just don't happen to light skinned black women. So I tread lightly on the topic because I have a lot of sympathy for it because I've seen it. I've
Yeah.
seen it with my own eyes. I've seen them be just trash. I mean, we see it in the media all the time. Black men are consistently coming out saying they don't want a dark-skinned black woman. A black man was at a whole funeral that had nothing to do with colorism, nothing to do with dark-skinned black women, but he found the time and an opportunity to say we got to protect our light-skinned daughters. Like this is the type
Wow,
of
let's
shit
say what?
that
Say what?
dark-skinned.
Okay, say what?
Okay, so
I
YG was
can't.
at Nipsey Hussle's funeral, and at the funeral, he literally took the time on the mic to say, we got to protect our light-skinned daughters. Like, this is the type of stuff that dark-skinned black women have to view and look at all the fucking
Well,
time.
we know
And
black men are the biggest perpetuators of colorism. That's what I said in the video. Bar none. We already know they're the biggest perpetrators of it.
but
That's
but
just reality.
but I think, and I will say this kind of, as the resident dark skinned black woman on the panel, I do think that these topics should be discussed by you guys. And this is why, because I think that a lot of times for dark skinned black women, our biggest issue is representation and advocacy, right? When we talk about some of the issues that when the dark skinned women mention dating choices or whatever those things are, a lot of that has to do with representation. When you turn on a television screen, how do you see dark skinned women depicted? Right? We're the ratchets, we're the mammies, we're the aggressive, we're this and that, right? You rarely ever see us in a feminine, soft role, right? And so one of the things we talk about a lot is representation. And we also talk about advocacy. So women like you who are not dark-skinned black women, I think should be having the conversations to push it forward and to help understand where we're coming from too. Because I think a lot of time what happens is it becomes this like us against them thing. And we're all black women. We all face difficulties in this world by being black women, period, right? But we also have to understand that dark-skinned women have a specific set of circumstances that come attached to them because of the issues related to colorism. And like you said, Cynthia, it is institutional, but I think you're trying to ask dark-skinned women to solve a problem that they didn't create. Right. So we can push back on the institutional pieces that perpetuate colorism and those who are in the dominant society who are the ones really controlling this whole thing. But we also have to be aware that a lot of dark-skinned women, when you talk about them telling their kids not to go outside in the sun and to procreate with light-skinned people, they're doing defense mechanisms a lot of ways. It's like, okay, I don't want my child to experience what I experience as a dark-skinned woman. Now, is that the right way to do it? Is there an element of self-hate there? Absolutely. But is it something that we can say to those women, you know what, like push back on the institution. Don't respond to women who are calling you cockroaches and, burnt crispy and all that. I think that's not a fair assessment to say to those women that you don't have the right to defend yourself to some degree. You know what I mean? Because I
Oh
think
no,
that's
I
what a
don't.
lot of them are doing.
See, I think that they may be getting that out of it because I don't think that any black person, regardless of color, or of skin tone are responsible for institutional anything because they didn't start it. So I don't feel like it's on us to correct that. But the part of it that they can correct, like for example, this comment of how this woman describes colorism, you have control over that as a dark skinned woman because this is or a dark skinned woman, dark skinned man, brown skinned person. You have control over it because this is what she's saying. She said, I don't see how Masika is being denied anything due to people commenting on her complexion. The most dangerous part of colorism is being perceived as undesirable and unattractive because of your dark skin and Negro features. How is any of that happening to Masika as a result of women disputing her skin tone shade or accusing her of beauty? This is not colorism. That is obsessing over skin tone. Obsessing over skin tone is colorism, though. But she is not missing out on being considered beautiful, attractive, or feminine. And then she says, love you lots, but I don't get this push to have reverse colorism except where it pertains to darker skinned black males and other putting down light skinned men as weak and trying to insinuate they are somehow less desirable. So what she's relegating colorism to is comments on complexion, being perceived as undesirable and unattractive. And then she's saying having someone, yeah, so that's what she's relegating it to. She's relegating it to comments on her complexion, being denied stuff. She's not saying denied what. She's not specified whether it's denied a job, denied an opportunity to date someone, but this is what she's relegating it to. She's relegating it to comments on her complexion and being perceived as undesirable and unattractive. So if those are what she's relegating to colorism, then number one, dark skin and light skinned people do and can practice those things because I've seen dark skinned people comment on other people's complexions. Usually it's dark skinned men, but I've seen it from dark skinned women. I've even seen posts all over social media of dark skinned women referring to their own children, their own dark skinned children, of negative comments on their complexion.
But who are they talking about, Cynthia? Are they talking about their light-skinned children or their dark ones?
No, they're talking about their dark skin, and that's the point. They're talking about their dark skin children, and then the perception of undesirable and attractive. It's like, okay, well, if you're talking about on a societal level, that's one thing, but for one dark skin person to deem another dark skin person undesirable, that's something that you can change yourself. I don't think that they can change it on a systemic level. You, of course, that's not your battle to fight as a black person in general. But you can determine for yourself what you deem as attractive. Because truth be told, when we see a dark-skinned person with another mate, 9 times out of 10, it is with a lighter mate. Even if it's a woman, she is usually with a mate that is lighter than her. Seldom do I see 2 dark-skinned couples with each other. Now, I actually see more light-skinned women selecting dark-skinned mates than I do dark-skinned women selecting dark-skinned mates. So those are things that they can control. If you uphold dark skin beauty, then you should be procreating with someone that's your same shade as darker. I go out and I try to procreate with a dark skinned man because I think darker skin is better. I want my children to have either my complexion or darker. I don't want them to be considered light skin. I want them to be mine or darker.
But see, Sen, I think that there's a piece of that, right? When we think about black people in general, and I don't want to say holistically like you, but holistically, right? When we think about black people, what's the ideal shade of a black person? A brown skin, beautiful, caramel complected. It's kind of what our ideal shade is as people, overall, right? And so you will see a lot of couples who are, dark skin and light skin mating to produce this beautiful brown specimen of a child. That's typically what most people consider like a beautiful dark brown skin black person, whatever, right? So that's typically what you will see, that opposites kind of attract to create that. But I think the part that you're missing is, for dark-skinned women, the issue when they're talking about attractiveness is the negative connotations that are attached to their darkness. Like the negative connotations of being masculine, of being people automatically assuming that you're insecure, people automatically assuming that you're aggressive because you are dark-skinned. And that doesn't matter if they're with a light-skinned man or a dark-skinned man. Those are still the negative connotations that we as a society have attached to the dark complexion. So that's what a lot of those women are fighting against when they talk about the attractiveness. Not necessarily that that they don't see other dark skinned people as beautiful, because I agree. I think dark skin is the most beautiful of all skin tones.
Mm-hmm.
However, like there's still that negative connotations that are attached to the complexion. And that's what they're talking about when they talk about desirability. They're not talking about like, hey, like I don't think these Negroid features are attractive. They're talking about the fact that when a man sees a dark skinned woman, he automatically usually assumes that she's aggressive. He automatically usually assumes that she's some type of masculine energy because she's a dark skinned woman. Like, even if we're having this conversation right now, if we were in person, you're brown skin, Black women's fear is a little bit lighter. I'm dark skinned. Maybe we had Nyla up here who's a light skinned woman, and we could all be responding the exact same way. But because I am the darkest of all of you, I would be considered masculine and aggressive. And that's
Well,
what
yeah,
they talk
Kodak
about.
Black said that, didn't he? When Kodak Black was talking about he when he went on that entire diatribe of why he likes, which he likes light skinned women over dark skinned women, but he also mentioned that he hated his own skin tone. He also
Yeah.
mentioned that. So at that point, it's going to a deeper level of why he's doing it, because he's
Yeah.
saying, look, I hate my skin tone, but he's also saying these women, light skinned women, seem to be easier to control. So he is going by the stereotypes that you just mentioned, but he's also mentioning he has the self-hate issue that he's acting from.
Yeah.
So what we can say that, a lot of these women are trying to protect their children, by creating biracial people or creating brown skinned people. But we also have to understand that they can also harbor and be acting from a place of self-hatred, and it will be understandable because all of the negative stigmas are towards them. It's not even to say that a light-skinned person can't do these things and aren't doing these things. It's just to explore the options of, if you're going to change society's perception, which on overall society you can't control that because you have a dominating force that's pushing out propaganda too. So you would either have to, the only thing that you would be able to do is change it on an individual level. That's the only option that you would really have, because you have a force that's out there that's bigger than and more influential than what we do. But the movement isn't to attack that force, is to say
Yeah.
light skinned women and dark skinned men are the biggest problem. And it's like, no, it's not your biggest problem. It's society that's also have more power than them, that's also pushing those negative stereotypes. They're picking it up and carrying it on the individual level. But you would have to, if you're not going to address it on an individual level, which a lot of them are saying they don't even participate in it, then you would have to do it on a societal level. That's the only way that you would be able to do it. And since we know we can't do that, the solution would lie in them addressing it on an individual level. Like
Yeah.
this, like this person right here saying, you mentioned how both groups need to be honest about perpetuating colorism. Have you seen channels like Light Skin Love on YouTube? Now, I don't even know why this is an argument, because I never said that light skinned people don't perpetuate it. By me saying it's bi-directional, and I actually said that dark skinned black women perpetuate it to the lesser extent. So it's funny that they're getting this. But she said, I see dark skinned women admitting to their side on here all the time, which I don't see them doing it. And she said, but I don't see light skinned people doing the same. Are you going to address light skinned people who don't acknowledge their role, such as colorist light skinned women or light skinned women who date colorist men? It's like, but I have addressed this before, and this is not the video for that. Because when I say it's bi-directional, that automatically means both of them are doing it. And it's funny because, and this is why I say some people hear what they want to hear. Because I said several times through this video that it is bi-directional, and even if I believe that dark-skinned women perpetuate it to a much lesser extent, they are still doing it. Because she's saying that there are channels where there's light skin love on YouTube. There are also channels with dark skinned women talking about sunscreens you can use to prevent from getting darker. That is still perpetuating colorism too.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you said that, because I actually like that Light Skin Love channel responded on your video, and I responded to their comments. So what I think unfortunately happened is you were making a video that was calling out both sides, which I think is fair. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that dark-skinned women don't also practice colorism. I still believe it's reactionary, but yes, dark-skinned women do perpetuate colorism in a lot of different ways, right? But I think what happened is in your video, people picked up on the fact that you were essentially calling dark-skinned women out, and this light-skinned love person wrote like a diatribe underneath your video that I responded to, like, basically saying that dark skinned women need to get over it, yada, yada,
Oh,
yada,
that was
and
from
all
the
this.
channel. I did
Yeah.
see that where
Yeah.
she put it first in small letters and then everything else was in capital letters.
Yeah, like this long comment or whatever, and that was the one I was actually responding to when you went live, like, because that's what happens. A lot of people are using this as an excuse to say, well, see, we told you, you dark-skinned women also have an issue, and no one has ever said that dark-skinned women don't also perpetuate colorism to some degree, but it's certainly not at the same extent. And because dark-skinned women do not benefit from colorism, it's very difficult to say that the negative connotations, if you will, that are attached to light-skinned women are at the same degree. You know what I mean? So I get the tone of what you were trying to do. I think unfortunately the reality is a lot of people are going to spin it as a way to say, see, we told you, dark-skinned women, it's all your fault, and you know, you need to level up, etc. And you know, I'm a big proponent of the level up movement. I tell dark-skinned women all the time, like, we still have to compete. This is the world, right? This is the world we live in. But that doesn't mean that we excuse the plight of us because of our complexion and the negative things that are attached to it. And I think that's unfortunately what people are probably going to do with your video, is what they always do on YouTube, is pull out the parts that they think are more, you know, triumphant for their cause and spin it. And so I think that's what you're seeing in your comment section too.
Yeah, and that's gonna annoy me because my thing isn't to call out dark-skinned black women. That's not what my goal is. My goal is to say this is something that both sides are perpetuating, and if we're going to resolve it, which we could within our community, if both sides agree to stop with the colorism, that's what it would take, because the overall society isn't they're not going to do that for us. Like, dark skinned people valuing dark skin and praising and having an appreciation for their skin tone, aside from comparing it to light skinned people, that would be a solution. Light skinned people thinking that they're better because they have lighter skin, which they're actually not. They're only lighter on a societal level, but the lighter your skin is, the more health defects you're going to have, the most issues with being out in the natural elements you're going to have. The more skin discoloration you're going to have. Like, there's a lot of negative things the lighter your skin is, and that's why I say dark skin is better, because they don't have, like, even amongst my family, because I have darker skin sisters and then browner skin, and I see they don't have, like, aesthetically, they don't have the issues that I have with skin discoloration and things like that. They don't have that, or getting heat rashes, because sometimes I get a heat rash if I go outside. They don't have those issues that I have.
But
They're darker skin.
I just want to say a couple of things. One of the things I believe is that light skinned women just need to end putting their mouth on dark skinned women. They just need to shut the fuck up about it. I feel like that.
They need to
Kara
keep their
don't
name
feel
out
like
their
that.
mouth.
She feels like everybody should be able to discuss everything. I don't feel like that. I feel like light skinned bitches need to shut the hell up, because when you receive a privilege in your complexion, a lot of times you can be a little out of the loop and what that person experiences. And when you speak out of turn, a lot of times it's almost like a white person talking about black people's issues, or what it's like to be a black person in the world. It's like, man, come on, you don't know what that's like. So I feel the same.
I certainly wouldn't compare those two.
I mean,
I absolutely wouldn't.
I think it's similar. Like, in my eyes, it's very similar. And I when it comes to dark skinned black women, I consider myself to be dark skinned. Carib told me the other day I wouldn't. So I'm gonna just say this. I feel like,
Yeah, based on your picture, woman spirit, you wouldn't be considered dark skinned by anybody's term.
but I feel like I tread lightly when it comes to the issues of a dark-skinned black woman. I have a lot of respect. I actually view dark-skinned black women as the epitome of black beauty. That's just my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't say a whole lot because I don't want to be disrespectful. It's like I wouldn't want a white person using the N-word around me. You feel what I'm saying? Like, or they might get smacked. So it's the same shit I feel when I'm around like darker skinned black women, and I feel like light skinned black women and light skinned men and just people in general, they tend to just make it seem like it's something in their head. They're tripping. Oh no, you don't understand. And it's like just that way of approaching it is so not delicate. It's like you don't understand what these women go through. I seen it with my own eyes. I grew up in the hood. I didn't grow up in the valley and the hills or nothing like that. So where I grew up at, I seen dark-skinned black girls being called African booty scratchers, roaches, crispy critters. Like I could just remember all the negative stereotypes that was put on dark-skinned black women and girls. And I seen it. So I can't act oblivious like, oh, okay, well, I don't know why they tripping over there. No, it's a reason. And then when we have our own community of men denouncing their beauty constantly, pushing it aside. If you think of our music, who do they praise? They praise red bones, light-skinned women. You like it's a constant wheel of pushback towards the dark-skinned black woman. Mm-hmm. So the fact that she has a level, let's just venture to say she has a level of insecurity. So what? You don't see why she got it? You don't want to understand why she got it? You don't want to try to talk to her and figure out why she got it and be a little bit more delicate in how you approach her and how you deal with her. You automatically want to say, oh, this bitch got an attitude. This why I can't stand dark-skinned black bitches. But you've been putting down dark-skinned black women forever.
That's but the thing is, it's indisputable that black men, dark-skinned black men specifically, perpetuate colorism the most. Like that's indisputable. Everyone sees it. And that's why I didn't want the topic of the video initially to be about black men perpetuating colorism, because I feel like that's the same as saying the sun is hot in the summer. I mean, we already know. We know this is the case. But it's like do you know, Woman Spear, I got attacked because I said in an interview with Angel Ramirez Jordan that I don't speak on colorism because I don't experience it and I don't want to offend dark-skinned women who do.
Have you ever had a light-skinned black friend and been compared to her, Cynthia?
No, I haven't.
See, I've experienced it. I had a light-skinned
Woman's Spear, you're not even dark-skinned.
But see, that's what we need to get into really quickly, because I see that in the chat, and I think people under your video were saying that. Cynthia, what do you consider yourself?
I consider myself in between brown.
And that's what I would consider you. But I will tell you that the sliding scale, the way that people look at complexion, some people would consider you dark-skinned. I don't consider
that would
you
be fine with me.
But that's what I'm saying, though, right? Like, because there are women in the chat who are talking about the fact that, hey, even as a brown-skinned woman, I've experienced some of the same things, because we have such a sliding scale on what dark skin is in our community, right? Like we can clearly identify what a light-skinned person is, but we don't clearly identify what a dark-skinned person is. So you have this huge sliding scale and a multitude of women who are experiencing colorism at very different levels because of that attachment. So I think that's another part of it too, right? Because there are people who would consider you or someone a little bit darker than you to be a super dark skinned person and would, have some of the same attachments and feelings. So I think that's interesting of what you were saying, Black Women's Fear, of like, have you ever been compared to a light skinned woman? Because one of the biggest things we have going on in our community is we don't easily identify what complexion a person is. And so you have a lot of women of a variety of skin tones who are experiencing some of the same things too.
Yeah, see, the thing of it is when I compare it to what they're expressing that they go through, I don't go through that, though. Like, I've never had anybody come to me and say, you're beautiful for a dark-skinned woman. I haven't had that. I haven't had men exclude me because of my skin tone. I haven't had that. I haven't had men in real life tell me that I seem aggressive and masculine because of my skin. Like I haven't experienced that. I honestly
Yeah.
haven't, and that's why I base it off of what they're describing, and in comparison to other people who are darker than me. Because if I'm around a person that is much darker than me, and then I say, oh, I'm dark skinned, we experience the same thing, how likely is it that they're going to be offended
So
if
you've
I say
never
that?
seen it either, Cynthia? You've never seen colorism?
I have seen colorism. I've seen
Okay.
it.
Okay.
The only time that I had someone make reference to, and I don't know if I can say it to my skin tone. This was a person who wasn't even black, and he
So
told
wait a minute,
me,
wait a minute, wait a minute. Hold on, Cynthia. Taz, please, can you join the panel, sir? What do you mean this argument comes from people with low self-esteem? That is a lie.
That's definitely a lie. Carrot's
That is a
self-esteem is
lie.
definitely very high. But I was looking at Taz's comments. I think they're interesting because they're coming from a male's perspective. And so, I think that they, again, dark-skinned men experience colorism very differently than dark-skinned women. And so I get it. I get what he's saying, but that's craziness. Like, this is not about, so I think, and a lot of men always say when dark-skinned women talk about colorism, it's because you have low self-esteem and
Yes.
because the men aren't picking you. Look, I'm not tooting my own horn, but Carib doesn't have any problems in the male
Me
department. Okay.
either.
Like, I'm not suffering out here. Okay. So it's not about self-esteem. It's about the fact that there are negative connotations attached to dark skin. That's just the reality of it. Like, I hate when we
well,
get into
there
that.
is that. I mean, I don't. We can't be intellectually dishonest and say that there's not negative stigmas attached to dark skin, because there is. But the only thing that
Taz, bring your behind up here.
I
Hit me with some
experienced,
Taylor said men are excluded.
oh, I will say I experienced this. Okay, 2 times in my life. Once, it was from a man who was not black, and he said, "Oh, you're very beautiful. I thought you were mixed with something." That's what he said. Obviously, he got cut off because I don't deal with stupidity on that level. Then there was a guy that I was talking to, and he chose to compare two of my pictures and say that I looked darker in one of them than the other one. So obviously that would be a man that I wouldn't be talking to. But those are the only 2 times I've had really any man make reference to my skin tone at all. But to be told that I wasn't attractive based on it, no, I've never had that. For people to exclude me from stuff, no, I haven't experienced that. To tell me I'm pretty for someone dark skinned, I haven't experienced that. So
Yeah.
um, that's why I say, and I've said in videos, I don't choose to make that my topic of discussion,
Hmm.
because I said that I don't want to demean the people who actually experience it. I don't want to demean their experience. And I had a barrage of Chrissy's followers coming to my channel accusing me of skin bleaching,
Oh, God.
telling me that I'm ignorant for not talking about it, calling me a colorist, and all of these weird, ridiculous names, simply because I said that, well, I wasn't going to talk about it because I don't want to, because I don't believe that it's my place to focus my commentary about that. And furthermore, I feel like it's a symptom of white supremacy. So before I attacked that issue, I would go to the issue of white supremacy, where it started from. And so that's the thing. If you say you're not going to talk about it, people are going to be offended by it. And if you choose to talk about it, they're going to be offended, because there was people also in my comment section saying, "Oh, well, if you don't experience colorism, you're not qualified to speak about it." And it's like, well, I don't need to experience it to know what it looks like.
And I will tell you, Cynthia, as someone who's been a supporter of yours for several years, I've always appreciated that you didn't get too deep into that conversation, because I know that's where we would disagree, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
also think that the way you handled it this time, I think I think it's good to have this type of conversation where it's like, look, I'm aware that colorism exists, but I also feel that dark skinned women also help perpetuate colorism to some degree. And I think that's a fair assessment to make. And I, as a dark skinned woman, am saying, yes, there is truth to the fact that dark skinned women help perpetuate colorism. But again, I do think it's reactionary and more of a defense mechanism. But I
Yeah.
think I appreciate you having this conversation. I appreciate people like Black Women's Fear being so passionate about colorism, even though you all aren't on the darker end of the spectrum, because I think that sometimes we are looking for people to say like, hey, this is not an illusion. And, a lot of people are like, oh, it's just the ugly chicks who are complaining, like all this craziness. Like, no, some of the most beautiful dark skinned women in the world talk about colorism. Like, it's not in our heads. It's not a fantasy. And so I appreciate when you guys talk about it.
Wale talked about it. Wale did a
Yeah.
whole interview about colorism, because as coming from a dark skinned man's perspective, and that's why when Carib said she thinks it affects dark skinned women and light skinned men the most, I absolutely agree.
I
Because
do.
dark skinned men will try to act like they don't recognize colorism because they don't want to talk about the issues that go on with women.
Because they don't experience it, woman spirit. That's why. Because when they're dark skinned, they're seen as more masculine. They're seen as more desirable. They're seen
But
as sex
why?
symbols. They're
But
literally fetishized.
if that's the case, then why they hate on light skinned men so much?
Because of the privilege they see that they perceive. I would assume so. Maybe a lot of them think they're weaker. A lot of them think they're more emotional, and all of these negative connotations that go towards light skinned men. I mean, the thing of it is I will admit that I don't really find light skinned men desirable. Because I see dark skinned men as more virile. I see them as more fertile. I see them as stronger. I see them as more masculine.
You see that? You see,
I
Cynthia?
do.
I see, point proven. You just said it. I see
Yeah.
them as
Yeah.
more masculine, and so Black dark skinned women are considered more masculine because
But
we are
see, from
closer to
my
the ancestors.
experience, Cynthia, like some of my closest friends have been light skinned men. Like they cool as fuck. Dark skinned men be just too, like I have my colorist point of views too. And it may come across as being ignorant as fuck, but I really do feel like dark skinned men they got toxic masculinity to me. Like they don't be that nice to me. They be mean as fuck.
And see, now I'm accused of perpetuating colorism because I'm saying I prefer dark skin. Like, and see, this is you. You see how I can't win? I literally cannot win.
No,
It's
you
just
can't.
like, why? How? It really,
But
actually,
is this
I'm taking it back to
colorism
the
or is this his
roots.
preference we're talking about here?
Yeah, because I'm not gonna be mean to them.
Well,
I'm not gonna disqualify. I'm only gonna, and I wouldn't even disqualify them for me dating them if they seem masculine enough. Yeah, I would date him if he's masculine enough. But typically, dark skinned men tend to appear to be more masculine to me. What do you
but
want to
see,
assume me? So,
but that's the whole part. That's why what you just said, Black women's fear about preference. That's why I always never get into the preference conversation, because again, my overall point is it's about the connotations that are attached to complexion. That's it. So the connotations that are typically attached to dark skin are masculinity, strength, power, aggressiveness. Connotations attached to light skin are femininity, softness, demureness, etc. That's the conversation, because I think when people try to make it about preference, they end up in this circle of like, well, is what's wrong with me liking a different, like, there's nothing wrong with you liking Black people who are green and yellow. Who cares if they're Black people? The point is that there are connotations attached to each complexion, and that's where the colorism starts, not necessarily because you tend to find one more beautiful or the other. And I think that sometimes gets convoluted and people try to make it a preference conversation when that's not really what the conversation is.
right, because I'm not saying, what people don't understand is a preference doesn't include exclusion. A preference just means that you like one thing more than the other, but you like both of them. And I think that's where they get things misconstrued, because I'm not even saying that I don't like light skinned men. I'm saying that I like dark skinned men better, but they would still have opportunities. I wouldn't demean them. I wouldn't completely exclude them. I wouldn't do it at all, because at the end of the day, this is still a Black man. He just has a different skin tone. Okay, whatever. There's more about a person to me than just what's on the surface, because I try not to judge people by what's on the surface. Of course, they should be visually attractive, but I'm really concerned more about his character than his skin tone. So if there's
Right.
a lighter skinned man and he has a better character and he's a better man than a dark skinned man, obviously I would choose him over a dark skinned man because he's a better man. But
Mhm.
in terms of a preference, yeah, if I'm seeing a dark skinned man with the they just I just think they look better. They really do.
And that's okay. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's okay. And I tell people all the time, like, we're not, when we talk about colorism, we're not trying to police who you find sexually attractive. Like, that's okay. When we talk about colorism, it's literally about the negative connotations attached to dark skin. That's it. Like, you know what I mean? Because I've, dated men of all different hues. And my current fiance is a light skinned black man, right? And so, like, at the end of the day, like, you can be attracted to whoever you like. It's really about like what connotations are you attaching to their complexion. That's when the colorism starts. So
Well, and I think that if I think that if it was flipped, I don't think that dark skinned women would have an issue, and I don't think they would call it colorism either. If they had the, because unfortunately they do, that there isn't, when it comes to a woman and she's dark skinned, they don't attach any positive connotations to it. It's the exact reverse of the men, and that's why to me it's deplorable that you have dark skinned men perpetuating it against the women more than anything else. That's why it's interesting when I see these comments, they're talking mostly about light skinned women. And it's like, no, I think dark skinned men perpetuate colorism against dark skinned women more than light skinned women do. But
definitely do.
it's focused on these light skinned women mostly. Beauty standard, light skinned women, light skinned women, light skinned women. Your beef should probably be more with that dark skinned black man, because even if he is favoring them over you, he's favoring them over you. And probably because of his self-hatred and his disdain for his skin, so he wants to go out there and create children that doesn't look like him because he doesn't desire to replicate what he is. But I feel like more emphasis are going on to the beauty standard of light-skinned women, which they really do, they do take advantage of it, obviously. And if you think about it, why wouldn't they take advantage of it? I mean, if it's going to
Hmm.
give them benefits, it's just like in a system of white supremacy. Why wouldn't white people take advantage of it?
Right.
Anybody, if they can take advantage of something, they're going to take advantage of it. But while they're taking advantage of it, they did not create it. They're not because if you think about it, no black woman is the beauty standard. Really, when it comes to white women, none of them are the beauty standard. They don't care how mixed she is. If she appears to be black, that white woman is taking precedence over her, and then she's going to experience what it's like when she's being demeaned and she's being put down in favor of this white woman, because mixed women are not seen as more desirable than white women. They're not seen as more feminine than white women. And so it's just on the hierarchy of closest to what they're saying is the optimal, which is whiteness. And that's
Yeah.
where the root of it is. But to not acknowledge that these things are being perpetuated is actually very dangerous in terms of the continuation of colorism. It's very, very dangerous for them to not think, to not even think it's possible for dark skinned women. Because even with her, like this person put a comment on here and said it, but it's not about you. If you don't know by now that the closer your proximity to whiteness affords you special privileges, then I don't know what to tell you. You know the stigma associated with being dark skinned. So before you say it got on your nerves, understand terms like red bone or light skin. Nobody has the trouble of dark skinned black women. And you should understand white supremacy and its effect it had on slaves and other black people. The poison just trickles down to every generation. Now, everybody already understands this. So I just commented and said, you also need to understand how dark skinned people, including women, also perpetuate colorism. I said there are many dark skinned black mothers who ridicule their dark skinned children, telling them to stay out of the sun so they don't get too black, calling them tar babies and other derogatory names. I said dark skinned women help to perpetuate the very issue they complain about, and you need to admit that and deal with that before complaining about the colorism perpetuated against you by other people. This person then comes on here and said, I'm sorry, that doesn't mean dark skinned people perpetuate colorism. That's like saying black people perpetuate racism. No, it's not though. She said white, light skinned people and black men perpetuate colorism the most. It's like nobody denied that though. Then she continues to say, first of all, light skinned women do not do anything but be in situations where they feed off colorism. They love to be in dark skinned women's spaces, and they love to be as looked at a pedestal within black beauty. Someone's mom telling their daughter to go off a beach. I don't know what this person is talking about, but
But you know what
I'm gonna
though, Cynthia?
I'm going to
Dark
assume she's referring to me saying get out of the sun. But she said it's not them perpetuating colorism. They are doing it because of society standards. Why they're doing it does not negate that they're still practicing colorism. And then said, I wish people that don't experience colorism would stop talking about it, because you would know that black men and light skinned women are the biggest benefits of colorism. Stop talking about colorism if you don't know what the F you're talking about. Now, this is a trigger person, because the reality of it is that teaching your children to hate their dark skin is perpetuating colorism. It just is. And it makes no sense to even say that it's not.
I just like I know we're cutting into an hour, Cynthia, so I'm gonna let you
Mm-hmm.
get off of here. Like this victim, because I've seen Taz say that. There are a couple other people in
trolling,
the chat
Kara.
who keep.
Yeah,
I
Taz is
know,
probably
I know
trolling.
Taz is trolling. I ain't think about Taz, but there are other people in here who are saying victim, victim, like stop with the victim narrative. Like we are not living in a fantasy world here. No one is waking up and saying, "Oh my God, because I'm dark skinned, I can't catch a ride to work." Like we're not talking about these things that you guys are considering to be victim shaming or whatever. Like we are talking about the reality of the fact that there are negative connotations attached to dark skin in this country for women. The connotations of masculinity, strength, etc., that are attached to dark skinned men are also attached to dark skinned women. And there is nothing positive about a woman being seen as masculine, period. So that's not a victim. That's someone who's recognizing the reality of their situation and saying, like, this is what's happening to me. I want the rest of the people in my community to understand what that looks like and to understand why I may respond the way that I do. That's not victim. That's not playing a victim. That's reality. Like, y'all are like, I'm trying not to get triggered about this because I hate to get triggered about colorism, because I'm not going to sit here and say that me, Carib, has experienced some of the same levels of colorism that other women in the community have experienced. I have not, right? And there are a lot of reasons for that, but I have not. But I do understand that colorism is a real thing. And so when people say that we're playing victim, you're basically just disregarding our feelings, you're
But they
disregarding
are
our
victims, though.
situation.
But
But
Yeah,
dark
let me
skinned women
let
are
me say
victims
this
of
though.
yeah,
colorism, though. That's the
Taz
thing.
if Taz he said he isn't trolling, okay. So let's visit the idea that he isn't trolling. If you're not trolling, then Taz, you perpetuate the bullshit that dark skinned men push onto dark skinned women all the time, that they're victims, they're insecure, they're in their feelings, they're making it up. But you sitting up agreeing with the same stereotypes that light skinned men are projected over you. So are you a victim? Because
Okay,
at the
but
end
here's the
of
thing that Taz doesn't get. Light skinned men are not preferred and promoted in mainstream. No, they're not.
oh, okay. Yes, they are.
Light skinned men?
Yes, they are. Dark skinned men are only promoted by black women.
I don't agree with
Who?
that, Black Woman.
I
Sir,
don't.
wait a
I don't
minute.
agree with
Like,
that either. Well, please give me an example.
yeah,
Please do give me.
please.
I would love an example of that, because I only see dark skinned men they're fetishized. They're not only promoted. It's creepy and fetishized the way that they
Yes.
are. Like everywhere. Especially when it comes to
I
this
don't know why
interracial
they got
agenda.
sucky, piss poor fucking attitudes. I don't know why.
But no, but what we're saying is exactly what I was saying earlier, right? That dark skinned men benefit from colorism. Dark skinned men and light skinned women benefit from colorism. Like people can sit up here and act like they don't. They do. You know how many
The Taz
unattractive
say
ass,
Colin Kaepernick.
you know how many
Colin Kaepernick
unattractive
is
dark
not a
skinned
sex
black men.
symbol.
Right? Like there's so
He's
many
not even.
unattractive black, dark skinned black men up here getting the praises from God because they're dark skinned, and they are not even that attractive, some of these guys. But because they're dark skinned black men, they are given a certain pass. The same with light skinned black women. There's so many unattractive light skinned black women who are all over your television screen right now. Right, because we have attached positive connotations to each of those groups of people. Like, come on, like y'all.
Yeah, because no, Colin, and nobody was checking for Jesse Williams until he went up and made that speech about black women, number one. And nobody sees Colin Kaepernick as a sex symbol. He has not been promoted as anybody's
He's
sex
funny
symbol
though.
at all. Like, I don't even see why we would be having this discussion. I've just never seen a light skinned man promoted over a black man, a dark skinned black man as sexy. No, I don't. I'm not. That's one where I'm not even going to get into that, because then I will feel like I'll be debating delusion. I will feel like I'm debating delusion. I don't even see how Taft could throw those two people out. And even if he did throw, and even if that were true with those two people, those exceptions wouldn't establish the rule. The rule is dark skinned men. That's just the reality of it in the media. But please tell me where that's at. Somebody, nobody likes Teddy Graham, Taylor Scott. Nobody's checking for Teddy Graham, Shamar Moore, please. And Michael B. Jordan is nowhere near. And Michael B. Jordan isn't light skinned, and to me, he's not even attractive.
He ain't a little funny looking too.
Oh, really? John Doe. I will throw myself over this balcony.
Look,
no,
light-skinned men on television doesn't make them a sex symbol. Are you serious right now? Terrence Howard is definitely not a sex symbol.
The person who said Terrence Howard needs to fight me. Fight me, Joe. Fight me, John Doe. Because did you really say Terrence Howard? Really? And he's so feminine? Yes, thank you, Bayou Bunny. He's a sugar booty. Are you kidding? No. Judith Redemption, I agree. He is. Michael B. Jordan is a sugar booty too. And I don't see what people see in him at all. But I'll tell you, Morris Chestnut is one. Idris Elba. Yes. You see him all over the place. And so, though, the thing, this is no. There isn't any. I don't see the favor towards light skinned men. I don't see it.
Did she just put Jussie Smollett? I'm done.
Okay, so people are just gonna troll. Okay, so this is where they're just gonna troll at. That's what they're just gonna do. He's just gonna troll. People are trolling now because it's like, okay, I'll give y'all Blair Underwood, but Blair Underwood is not light skinned. So
Blair Underwood is sexy as fuck.
Really. Especially, and if you really want to take it there, you could literally set it off as a porn.
But you know what? I got a question. So did y'all think Wesley Snipes was sexy in his younger days?
No,
but Tyson Beckford is feminine, so I don't. Tyson, there's nothing masculine about Tyson Beckford.
Yeah,
there's your example. There's your example of who I would pass up, a dark skinned man that I would pass up for a light skinned man. Tyson Beckford has no masculinity to me.
Yeah, he's not sexy. But that's what I mean, right? When we talk about that, dark-skinned men do benefit because a lot of people see those men that are being named as sex symbols, even though they're not always the most attractive men on the planet. So that's where we talk about like that benefit for dark-skinned men of benefiting from colorism. That's it. So y'all been disingenuous in this chat, but come on.
Yeah, no, light-skinned men, by and large, people are just not checking for light-skinned men. I just don't. Yeah, they're not checking
not
for
even
it.
Michael Ealy?
Nobody is checking for Michael Ealy.
I think he's handsome too, but I don't think that people consider him. When we think about sex symbols, who's the first person, before you guys even think about it, who's the first person you would say if you said sex symbol right now?
Morris Chestnut.
Or who else?
Black women right now.
Or Idris Elba is who would probably come first. He's any black woman you ask, she would say Idris Elba. And nobody's gonna say Michael Ealy. Sorry.
I think Michael Ealy is fine. I'm sorry.
So that's what I'm saying. I think he's fine too, but that's what I'm saying. That's the difference, right? Of like how we're talking about how dark-skinned men do benefit.
So you don't think, what's his name? What the fuck is that man's name? Trey what? What's his name?
Y'all know who is old but attractive and has some swag about him? Jaimin Hansu.
Oh yes, I love him.
Yeah, he
and
is.
I'm not particularly that interested in like bald men, but he's very handsome.
I don't like bald men. I like men with hair.
I could take it either way. I could too. But I just know Jaimin Hansu. He's an old one, but he's. I don't
even know who that is.
Kimura's baby's dad.
Oh yeah, he's fine.
Didn't he play in what slave movie did he play in?
That's his name. So y'all don't think Trey Songz is handsome?
I do think Trey Songz is, and it's interesting because usually I would think male singers are like sugar booty-ish, but he actually was able to maintain his masculinity.
Yeah, I think he reminds me of just a normal guy in the hood. He's not like spectacularly handsome. He just reminds me of a guy that I would see every day. Is how
Yeah,
I
if me
think
and
Trey
Trey
Songz.
Songz ever met, we would be the best of friends. I think that it wouldn't be anything sexual, but I really think if me and Trey Songz met, we would be the best of friends.
Mm-hmm.
I
I do.
like his personality. Oh, they say he played in Amistad. Yeah, and Trey Songz isn't a light skinned man though.
He brown.
Yeah, would be in between. Nobody sees. I don't know who sees Chris Brown as a sex symbol.
Nobody.
Nobody. No, I
I think
don't
Dave
know.
East is sexy as fuck too, though.
Who is?
Dave East.
But
Oh,
again,
the little coon dude.
he's cute, but is he like a sex symbol? Like that's what we're talking about. When you think I
Definitely can fucking get it. I'll tell you that.
Him with
God.
the racist Latino baby's mom.
I ain't got nothing to do with his baby mama. I'm talking about
Oh,
him.
so you just trying to go over there and kind of hit and quit real fast.
Clearly.
I'm gonna say
Taylor
do you.
Taylor, that Kofi guy from Queen Sugar, he's that's a wonderful specimen of a gentleman there.
Oh,
He is.
nobody ever bring up Tay Diggs. Do not
Yes.
mention Tay Diggs in this chat room.
No. No. He has been canceled many, many moons ago.
Him and the dude who plays what is Luke Cage? Cancel, throw both of them away. Although I know people actually like the dude who plays Luke Cage, but he's no, and he's not. And I was watching um Luke Cage. I tried to, and I just couldn't because it seemed like his level of masculinity was not there, and I felt like it was fake trying to make him seem masculine. I was just like, I can't do it. I couldn't even watch it because him playing this masculine superhero role, I wasn't buying it. I wasn't buying it. So I was like, throw the whole thing away. I really don't even know who Al B. Sure is.
I'll be sure is so canceled. Like, come on, like, but can we even? We can't even bring him up no more. He's so disgusting looking now. He is overweight and everything. He has smashed into the wall. He has drove a motorcycle into that bitch and slid up and slid down. He is
my
overweight.
my sister had a picture of him
John
when
B
we
is
were
not
growing
even
up.
black. Why are you mentioning John B?
John
He's not
B.
even
Oh
black.
my
He's not even black.
god.
Like, I can't with y'all. Like, why is he even?
I'm waiting to see Eminem. Like y'all don't think Eminem
Because I'll be sure is two shades away from being white. So that's probably why it came in her mind. I don't know.
Okay, Khadijah, you need to. That's why. This is why I say Khadijah needs to have a permanent place on the wall. You will never mention Forrest Whitaker in this type of situation. No, but really, did y'all watch Set It Off and see Blair Underwood and Set It Off?
Ooh, in that sex scene. Girl,
I was like, oh my God, that dude.
I
that man
don't think Blair
fine.
I
Underwood
didn't
is
even
sexy
know.
though, so I
Oh
don't think
my
he's
God,
sexually
I
good.
didn't even know what to do with myself when I saw him and Set It Off. Because I watched Set It Off when I was younger, but watching it as an adult was so much better. I was like, why wasn't
Ooh,
I able to appreciate Blair Underwood?
I always appreciated him. Always appreciated him. But did y'all like that video with what's that one dude name? Remember everybody was just going crazy over the video. Angie Stone, baby daddy. Yeah.
Oh, D'Angelo.
Did you think that video was sexy?
I don't know how I feel about him. I don't know if I think he's
I didn't
masculine.
get the hype behind it. I don't get what everybody was so hyped up about.
Where he did it with where it looked like he had on no underwear or whatever.
Yeah, like he was naked and
Mm.
everybody was trying to see the bottom of the screen. And I'm just like, I mean, it's not, I'm not that turned on by
His
this.
body was nice though.
It was typical.
For black men, that's what I'm saying. It is typical for black men. It's just the way black men are cut with their. I'm not even gonna get into that because then you guys will be saying I'm fetishizing and I'm colorist and I don't have time to go through this with y'all. I really don't. No, don't mention 50 Cent in this comment section. Like, just don't. She said D'Angelo can have her uterus. You need to stop.
I can't. Oh my god, y'all are so.
That is that's
Stop being
really.
thirsty in chat. Oh my god. I can't.
D'Angelo don't even look like that now.
He overweight now.
Yeah, I was gonna say this D'Angelo, he fell all the way off, and it is kind of typical of black men's bodies if you think about it, because
D'Angelo
I
looking like
mean,
Angie Stone twin now.
because the thing of it is that is so common among black men is that
Mhm.
because black men have a body type that nobody else really has, and so you would, if you want that body type, you gotta get to it. Don't mention Bobby Brown either. He's just washed up
You
and
know what? But
looks
Bobby was
really
very
sexy.
cute when he was younger. My prerogative, like, yeah, my prerogative Bobby was very handsome with his gap
Maybe I
tooth.
need to go look at that
Go
because
look at that video. He was handsome with his little gap tooth. It was kind of cute. He was kind of cute.
He was basic for a black man. He was basic.
yeah, he was kind of bacon
Yeah, he
because
was
it's like
basic.
the bar for, if you think about black men, the bar is high, so you can't have, so for Bobby Brown, he's maybe mid base level, but I
Bobby
wouldn't say
Brown
it's
looked
too
like
much
he
of
got that angry sex. Like he had just, he looked like he got that. He gonna take all his frustrations out on you, sex.
See, I am
Well,
pretty
maybe.
damn gangster said Tupac. Now Tupac was sexy.
That was
Tupac
yes,
was
so
a
sexy,
sexy man. That was a good looking
wasn't he?
man. Oh my god.
That really was.
it had a
Speaking
lot to do
of,
with who he was too. Just his attitude was sexy. His attitude was sexy.
wasn't it like all of that aggression and masculinity and willingness to just take it there if he needed to? That was really nice.
Definitely. You
So
don't bump into it often.
you know who was actually really attractive in their heyday too? Tretch.
Oh, he was.
Oh, I
He
used to
was.
love him. I used to
He was
really love
over.
him.
He actually he was a little underrated too. People didn't
Hmm.
really recognize how sexy he was when he was younger.
And he's actually not that bad now because he was on an episode of Growing Up Hip Hop because his daughter is on there, and so
Mm.
he's actually keeping it together quite good.
Yeah,
He
he
is.
is. He actually does pretty. You're right. He does look pretty good to be. I think he's in his
Hmm.
50s now. So,
Who Trent?
Yeah,
mm-hmm. He's
yeah,
in his
he's
Girl
50s.
popping.
stalled on that, didn't she?
Yeah, but she said he was like beating her though.
Really?
She talked about it on there and said he was abusive to her.
Now she walking around here shaped like a snow cone. Like she just looks
He
a mess.
is, right? And
God.
then the dude that she was just with, I mean, he was still married and then went back. They said he went back to his family, which I mean, that's typically what happens when you're dealing with a married man. But they say he went back to the family. Yeah, but she was on there and she told her daughter that, that's why she left him. She said that's why she left him because she talked about some situation where he choked her out or something like that. But
I ain't know
I mean,
nothing.
and he looked like he could be that type, but he was still sexy nonetheless. So
Somebody said Big Daddy Kane.
I don't even know who that is. So
They just saying anything because he's in here talking about Morgan
He
Freeman.
was
Like I
handsome in his young
can't.
step
days.
and fetch it. Okay.
I can't. I'm done with your chat, Cynthia.
Because they're just saying anything at this point. I mean, they control for the last 5 minutes if they want to. If they want to, they can, y'all control it up for the last 5 minutes if y'all want to. But who is step and fetch it?
I
Okay, the
don't.
person who said Maury Povich, you just need to go.
Wait, did she put Ving Rhames in here? Like Ving.
Oh, somebody said Lord Jamar. Yeah, Lord Jamar is light though, but I do actually
Yeah, I
like
think
Lord
Lord
Jamar.
Jamar is
Actually,
cute.
I do like him. I like his commentaries and stuff. I do like him. Nobody really Taylor.
Right,
I,
Taylor. It's so wrong.
I should unmod Taylor just to time her out for saying.
Did y'all see that interview that he just did with Amara La Negra, or whatever her name is?
No, I'm gonna watch that though. I haven't
He
watched
was
it yet.
lusting. He was flirting his little behind off when he was doing that interview with her. I was cracking up.
Yeah, look, Lord Jamar did one with her.
No, Jesse Lee Peterson.
Oh, okay. I did. I saw that come up in my recommendations, but I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody
You,
said Boris Kojo. Boris Kojo is one of the only light skinned black men that I think is attractive. Boris Kojo. He's
Yeah,
probably
he's a
one of
good
the
looking man.
he really is. He's
Yeah.
that beautiful man.
I don't like
Really.
bald heads though, and I think Lorenz Tate thought off. He too short.
And when Lorenz Tate kind of well, I guess he didn't really fall off because I've seen him in Power, so he didn't really fall off. But yeah, Lorenz Tate is attractive.
He looks like my ex-husband, except my ex-husband's a little bit lighter. And so I've always like had a weird uncomfortableness about Lorenz Tate because like,
Is
oh
he
God, I
short? How tall
can't.
is he?
Well, he's 5'10", so yeah.
Oh, he's not that
Yeah,
short.
not
He's
that
like
short.
the standard size for men. I
Mhm.
think they said 5'9"
I
is
want
standard
him
for men.
taller than him.
Yep.
And y'all need to stop mentioning the dude from Power. No, I don't think that he's I don't like the dude from Power. I don't think that he's attractive at all.
What you got from Power?
What is his name? Amari Hardwick.
Oh God, I do not think he's attractive either. I really don't. I don't see where people
His
like.
attitude fucking sucks. Have you heard him and what he say about black women?
Yeah, he's disgusting, but I didn't like him in Power. Like I didn't like him. I'll tell you who I did like in Power though. You know that
I know who you're talking about. I
who's
feel
that
like I
Hispanic
know
man that was in there?
the Hispanic man. Wait,
Yes, I
who?
can't. The darker Hispanic man that was in there. I
Oh,
forgot who he was.
Remney. What's his name? The Romini,
No,
Rotini. Not him.
mm-mm.
Oh, I don't
He's
know.
black. There was a man. Let me see if I can Google it and see who he was. Um,
Xander, you're about to get. Can you unmod Xander
Yeah,
so
I'm
I can
not
time him
fucking
out,
with
please?
Xander. That's how I seen that.
I'm about to block him.
I forgot who he was in there. Who was he?
Aren't you talking about the? You got to be talking about Rotimi, right? He's the
No.
only.
I forgot what they called him. And I think he's still in it. I think he's
You know what?
still.
You ain't right for that.
Let me see if I can find what his name is, if he's on here.
She said,
Oh, this.
Paul. You know what? I can't.
What was his? I can't find out his character in Power, but his name is Matt Cadino. I forgot which character he plays. I forgot which character he plays, but he's one of those characters in Power. Okay, let me see what
Oh
his.
yeah, I know what
He's
you're
supposed to
talking
be
about.
Cuban.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. He played like he's one of the drug dealer things or something. Yeah.
Yes, he is. Now, I actually like him.
He
I
plays
do actually.
Cristobal. That's who it
Yeah,
is. That's Cristobal.
he's Afro-Cuban.
Oh my God. Would
I
y'all
never
stop with
I
these
never
names?
looked at him.
Yeah, because there's an article that says he talks pride for his Afro-Cuban roots and says he's infatuated with Spanish. They have him on People for Black History Month. On there.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Ah.
forgot what they call him on there.
Yeah, Cristobal. That's Cristobal.
Yeah, that's who
Mm-hmm.
I like on Power. He's far more masculine than Ghost. He's just far more masculine. So, but that's who I like. Just his whole because he's very quiet. He seems like the quiet, dangerous type on there.
No, you know what? Nas is sexy though. Nas is. I agree with that.
Yeah, but Nas and his whole situation with Khalees is just weird to me. So I'm just like, him and
Yeah.
Khalees going through all this weird drama, and I'm just
I
like,
don't like his dad body that he's acquired over the years though.
yeah,
But you know
no.
what? Like I'm
Okay,
partial
Django,
to
you need
dad
to go
body.
for saying Trick Daddy. You need to go. Like
Okay, yeah, we're
really?
gonna block you, James. I like dad
Yeah, I'm not a
No.
bodies.
fan
I
of
like
that
men with a
body.
little bit of gut. It's kind of cute, like a little bit of belly.
It's disgusting.
You
But
know.
Trick Daddy just let himself fall all the way off. And then he was talking about white women and frying chicken. And it's like, dude, you ate too much of it, though. You ate the entire
But
chicken.
no, he's sick, guys. So he's
He
sick.
is gross.
He has
Hey,
lupus. Yeah, he has
he is
lupus.
so unattractive to me.
Oh,
He's
Daddy? Trick
Yeah,
Daddy?
he
yeah.
has lupus.
He looks sick, though.
Yeah, he has lupus. Yep.
He actually does look sick, though. Russell
Mm-hmm.
Wilson. I mean, Russell Wilson, he's all right.
I don't find it's nothing about him that turns me on.
If somebody said Offset, Offset is the ugliest member of that group.
Yes, he is. He's
Like
the
he's
back of the group.
what's the other dude's name who looked better than him?
Quavo.
They're
Yeah,
all
Quavo
unattractive.
and the other one looks way better than Offset. He's
That's just like the
disgusting.
most unattractive group ever. Like none
They
of them
funny
are
looking as
like
fuck,
none
and
of
they all
them.
short and
Yeah.
little.
Yeah, it's no wonder he looks like somebody who would get with Cardi B. He really does. Like Offset, throw the whole group away. Like I don't even know why they're so popular.
They look like they smell like Black and Milds.
How do you look like you would smell like Black and Mild?
Oh God.
If somebody says Shaba Ranks, y'all are the trolliest chat
They're
room.
trolling. I can't.
They
But Silk the
are.
Shocker, y'all, when I was a kid, Silk the Shocker was very sexy to me. He was cute. He was
I
tall
thought
and
he was
skinny.
cute when I was younger too.
I thought he was cute.
The only thing I like about Silk the Shocker was that song "Let's Ride" that he was on. That's the only
Yeah.
thing I like about him. But other than that, I could do without him. I
I
didn't
thought
even
Big
assess
Bird was
him.
cute. I thought Lil Wayne was cute. Oh my god, I was so lost in the sauce.
Why is Xander saying information man?
He's been naming YouTubers the whole time. I'm just
I'm
ignoring
sorry,
him.
but that
I'm
damn
ignoring
haircut
Xander.
Y'all know I didn't know that Info Man was 50. I'm like, black people really don't be
Is he
aging.
really 50? Oh my
Yeah.
God. He looks good for 50. Wow. I didn't know
Info
that.
Man is actually, I don't think Info Man is ugly though. I don't
Yeah, I
think
don't
he
think he
is.
is either. And he looks, if he's 50, like that's definitely a plus.
He
I didn't
look
know he
good
was
for
that
his
old.
Hmm.
age.
Wow.
But him and Gab both look good for their age. But
Oh yeah, they do.
Gab
Gab
look
be getting on my nerves, but he does too.
let me stop because my rank session could hurt some feelings. So I'm
Yeah, we can't rank YouTubers. We're gonna leave them out because the videos will start flying. So we'll leave male YouTubers out it.
Lord.
Kylo Ren said, "What about Chadwick Boseman?"
He's
He's
okay.
basic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
okay.
basic. Don't even mention Kevin Hart in here. Kevin Hart
Really?
should
Kevin
not be in
Hart?
here.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
come on,
like
right?
really.
Yeah.
He's a fun size coon. So why would he be in here?
And Mini
You
Coon.
know, when Martin Lawrence was skinny, I thought he was kind of cute. His personality just probably could have got it for him. He was funny as fuck back in the
He
day.
is really way him and Eddie Murphy. I can't. I almost could like back in the day, Eddie Murphy. I couldn't even take Eddie Murphy. He was so fun. It's so funny. Like I just couldn't take him. Like I would just die. Like especially in the movie I Spy. I couldn't even deal with Eddie Murphy in that movie. Like those are two of the people who are literally like the most funny to me. Somebody said Mystico. I used to really like Mystico, especially when I was 17. I swear I had an
You thought he
obsession
was
with Mystico.
attractive?
I really did. I wanted to marry that dude.
I like Mystical, but I never thought he was attractive
Oh
though.
my god,
Wow.
I thought he was so cute when I was younger, but I'm not 17 anymore. So, I mean, that kind of expired. But yeah, I used to have an obsession with Mystical. That was one that I convinced myself that he was going to be my baby's daddy. I convinced myself of that when I was 17. And now, it's just like, ugh, really?
No,
He's all
Denzel Washington aged backwards because he was fine as hell, but now I don't know what the fuck. He look like somebody auntie right now.
yeah.
Who? Denzel?
Yeah.
Denzel kind of hit the wall a
Well,
little
he's
bit.
old, y'all. Like he's like 60 something now.
But
So,
men typically get older and more distinguished looking. He didn't do that.
Taylor Juvenile has nice lips.
He does.
He really have nice lips. Those are the only thing that I see on him that's really April. Uncle Phil, I'm not paying attention to y'all because y'all are just doing. I'm getting off because y'all with these people. Webby, DJ, you think Webby and ASAP? Okay, she's trolling.
yeah, she's definitely
ASAP
trolling with that.
Rocky, like these people are. Oh, they said Denzel was hitting 70. I
Oh, okay.
mean, if he's hitting 70, then I guess the wall has to come at some point. But he definitely now Training Day.
Woo!
Everything about Denzel was sexy
Girl.
in Training Day. Even the person he played for some reason was really sexy to me. Even though he was just like,
Denzel was fine back in the
So
day.
I'm picking up that you guys like super aggressive men. Like that's what I'm
Yeah.
picking up. Okay, I get it.
and like even though he was just corrupt and ridiculous, I was like, oh my god, I really think I love this Training Day character. Complete trash though. It's funny because his
Oh
character was
yes,
not
girl.
good.
Better Blues. Oh, he was so fucking. His Denzel's walk is what make him so fine to me. His walk is
Mm-hmm.
ugh.
Suge Knight, no.
No, 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 no.
No, nobody's checking for Suge Knight. But I mean, Denzel
Ain't
have many
Diddy?
movies.
Are you kidding me?
Diddy shouldn't even be on the list.
Ain't Diddy a
Xander, like really, Xander is trying to have
I
50
told
different
you.
videos made.
I'm telling you, we're not commenting on what Xander's posting.
Yeah, we're just not. We're not thinking about anything that because we're not going to have a ranking of black male YouTubers. We're just not going to do that. And do you know how many videos they'd be making coming after each one of us if
Oh
we
my
did that?
god. Oh my god.
It
It's
really
like,
he doesn't rank because most of
I'm
their ass is funny looking at the motherfuckers. So continue.
stop, Xander. Nobody's paying attention to you. Like, nobody's even paying attention to Xander. Xander's trolling. We're not going to take your bait. Like, we're really not going to take your bait.
Oh
You've
my
So,
already
god,
said
we
too much,
gotta like
so we're good.
oh, Taylor said Denzel had the, let's look at Denzel's son
Oh,
and
now
see
his
what he's
son
looking.
is a very attractive young man. Yeah,
Let's
he's
see
very
what his son
attractive.
look. How old is his son?
I think he's in his early 20s because I think he just graduated from Morehouse, maybe something like that.
Oh, wow. His son actually is. His son looks a lot like him, too. He
oh, let
does.
me look him up. What's his name? Let's
John
see.
David. Oh, he's
John.
34. Okay, I thought he was younger than that. He's 34. It's John David,
I mean,
Washington.
I could share the screen with you guys if you want to see him.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay, let me.
He
Share
all
the screen.
right.
He looks a lot like him. He
I don't
definitely looks
like the
like his
beard
dad.
because I don't care for beards, but
You do look like his daddy.
he
Yeah,
does.
he definitely looks like his daddy. And I'm just like, okay. Um, yeah, but this is him.
Khadija, we're gonna
Um,
block you
Oh,
just like
he
you're
handsome.
blocking Xander. So yeah, we're
well,
done.
this
He
is him with
handsome.
less of a beard. Let me see if I can put the one on there with where he has less of a beard.
I like beards. You like?
Here
Do
he
you
has less
like
of a.
beards?
I don't like beards at all.
I
I can't stand
love
them.
beards.
I want to see your face. I don't want to see like this whole like extra layer of you. I don't.
I
Yeah.
like it if it's trimmed, but yeah, Denzel kind of that wall got to
You got ginger,
Denzel
him.
smacked the wall.
It did. It got to him, unfortunately. It's like, I mean, you couldn't. But let's look at Blair Underwood during Set It Off, because I can't with anybody who says Blair Underwood during Set It Off. Just I can't,
Look at that man. Goodness gracious.
especially in this one. I can't, y'all. I can't do it. Where was
He,
I at when he?
he is fine.
He really is. Like, where do they
And
make
he
them at?
still looks good, y'all. He still looks good.
And
Hmm.
that's his daddy, I'm assuming. Blair Underwood and Frank Underwood was his daddy. Ugh.
Hmm. He's a very well kept man.
Yes, he is. He is good looking. Is he married?
Mm.
Yeah, he's married, I think.
And he was in an episode of Law and Order SVU, and he set his wife on. It was still sexy, although he set his daughter's mom on fire. He really was. I couldn't even. But it's like, notice how he keeps playing these characters where he's either beating a woman. It's like,
Yeah,
why are
he
you
is.
beating a woman? Like
He
he
does.
did that on what was it in what was it, Medea's Family Reunion or something like that? What movie did he play in where he was beating his
Yeah, it
wife?
was family reunion. No, no, it was family reunion. That was the one. Yep, that was it.
And then also he was in an episode of Law and Order SVU and he set her on fire. And I was just like, this
All
dude,
his
it's
parts
being.
recently been him beating up women. It have been.
And boy, he played that character in Family Reunion a little bit too much. Now I'm inclined to believe that he might just be that. He might be that abusive. That, or he might have it. Oh, they said that was Diary. No, that wasn't Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Diary of a Mad Black Woman was with what's her name? Who looks like Cicely Tyson?
Yeah, Kimberly Elise.
Yeah, because she looks so much like Cicely Tyson is just ridiculous. But no, that was Diary of a Mad Black Woman. I think this one was Family Reunion, where he was beating
Yeah, it was Family
that woman that he
Reunion.
was
He
with.
played Carlos, I think the name was. I
Mm-hmm.
remember that
Wait a
movie.
minute. Brittany Walker said Easy was fine to me too. Are you talking about Easy E?
Easy who?
Easy E. I know she ain't talking about Easy E.
Okay,
She
Brittany,
might,
we're gonna block you.
yeah,
If
'cause
you're talking about Easy, I can't.
yeah, Helen Teddy Graham was never attractive to me, and probably he has a white mom, so maybe that's why. But he was never attractive to me,
A
and
lot
I
of
noticed.
women. She said yes. She said she talking about Easy E. Girl, Brittany.
And I'm still because remember when I don't know if you guys remember when that situation with Shannon Sharp happened, and so somebody, one of them things, Bossip or something, put it on Instagram, and Teddy Graham had to go on there and make sure he made a typical mixed person comment,
Yeah,
and
I
it kind
remember
of just
that.
annoyed. Yeah, it just annoyed
Hmm.
me, and so
Yeah.
ever since then he was not attractive to me. I get why he was saying it. Of course, anybody, mixed people are always going to be all lives matter. Why do we do this to us? You have a white mom, so you would say that. So, but still. Oh, somebody said Christian Keys. Let me tell you, I was watching Supernatural, right? And they had this dude that was playing Michael the Angel, but he was kind of evil. And I was like, that is one sexy man. I did not know that was Christian Keys.
Christian Keys. Let me look him up. I don't know.
Yeah, can you let me see? I don't know who
Yeah,
that
let
is.
me, because he was in Supernatural. Let me see if I can find how he looked in Supernatural.
Oh
Somebody told me
yes.
that was
He's
him.
very attractive. Yeah, he's
Yeah, and it
he's
actually
handsome.
was him in there. Yeah, he was.
Ooh, yes, Lord. Okay. I've
Yeah, let
never
me
seen him
share this
before.
screen with y'all because this is exactly how he looked, and I was like, since when did Michael the Angel get that sexy? I was actually surprised they made a black man. Well, no, because Supernatural actually does. They will make black men angels in there.
I've never
That's real
seen him
sexy.
before. He's very handsome. I've never seen him
Yes.
before.
Yeah, he really is, and he actually looks way better than how he looked when he was doing Tyler Perry's plays. But this is how I saw him. Let me see the thing of how they made him. Well, they made him. This is him in Supernatural. He was after the angel, and I was like, why is that evil angel just running around trying to kill people? Extremely sexy though. I was like, he's really sexy, but yeah, and I didn't know who he was. I didn't connect him to that because he didn't. I mean, the last time I saw him, he was in one of Tyler Perry's stage play thingies when Tyler Perry was just coming out. But yeah, he's somebody said Christian Keys can scramble your eggs.
Oh my
You're
God.
stupid.
Asia.
Yeah, he's I think that's the most recent thing that he did was Supernatural because that was a recent season. And he was in there wreaking havoc, looking extremely sexy too. I'm gonna go watch those episodes over now that I think about it because he actually is really, and the thing of it is he's still masculine. He doesn't look feminine at all. Like he's maintained even though he's light skin. Ain't he's the one went during the plays they were saying that he's Puerto Rican when he was doing Tyler Perry plays. I think that's when I first saw him. So yeah, but he's definitely attractive.
Who,
Um,
Christian Keys?
yes,
Yes, he is. He's handsome.
he did a good job playing that role too. Actually, he's a good actor, or at least he did on that one. But it's like yeah, I think it was good because usually in a lot of shows you don't see them making black men into anything powerful, especially anything powerful that's kind of beating up on white people. And that's what he was doing in Supernatural. And so that was kind of weird to see them put a black man in that role. But um, you know, but yeah, those are black men are. We already know they're the top of the food chain when it comes to sexiness and everything else. Really, I can't with Xander. Okay, I'm getting off because Xander done.
Yeah, I gotta go. I can't.
Yeah, because Xander trolled it in it. Yeah, I'm getting off. And plus, I kind of want to lay up for a little while before Nyla's panel anyway, and I need to work out. So, because I can't take my walk because it's really hot. It's like 90 degrees out here, and I just don't take walks in 90-degree weather. So,
Well, I do appreciate you, Sen, for inviting me up for this conversation. I appreciate you talking about it too, because I think it, like I said, I do think that women like yourself and Black Women's Fear can be really good voices, as far as talking about colorism. So I appreciate it.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
glad
thanks
you
for putting
came
me.
up here because I really wanted you to join. So I'm glad you were there because I was like, if I could get, I think I was telling Nyla, I was like, hopefully get Kara to join because that'll be cool. But why is somebody calling me from Georgia? I'm gonna have to see who that is. But yeah, thanks for coming on and definitely you too, Black Woman Spirit. Although I don't really see how light skinned women would be mentioning you as a dark skinned woman. I don't know. I don't see how that would be your plight, but
Trust me, Kara said the same thing to me the other day.
yeah, because I was scratching my head. I was like, why is Black Woman Spirit saying she's dark skinned? I was like, kind of when you were in the
I'm
chat, I was
brown
like,
skin.
no, you're nobody would really consider you dark. If they go by your picture, nobody's seeing you as dark skinned though. But I think that's actually good. That is somebody other than who's not traditionally seen as dark skinned to acknowledge that that dark skinned women do have a very bad plight when it comes to their skin tone, and they do. And that's why I say I don't understand who would be able to say that this is something imaginary or that they should stop talking about it. I don't think they should ever stop talking about it, but I do think that there's work that we need to do in our community as a whole, and us sitting around within our group perpetuating colorism is something that really needs to stop. It really does. Because now, really, I mean, we've picked up the torch and we've been carrying it. We have
Mhm.
been carrying it like heavily. And that needs to stop. But hopefully, nobody was offended because, like I said, I wasn't trying to offend any dark skinned women. Somebody said biscuit throat. Sorry, that's why I'm laughing. No, but I wasn't trying to offend them in any video. I was just pointing out the ways that we can, as a group of people, try to remedy these issues because society isn't going to do it for us. But yeah, thank you, ladies, for coming up here. It was definitely fun
Yeah,
talking about
Hey,
definitely.
it
thanks for
and
bringing
stuff.
us.
Yeah, thanks for the chat room for trolling and giving us something to laugh over. Because
And tell Xander we never ever want to see him do that again. Like he was
Yeah.
doing the
oh,
most.
I have to troll and play I'm addicted to boys at some point. Do you guys think I might
No.
I
I
might
How
can't
did
play
he
that?
believe
Do you
find
guys
that
I'm
song?
not
Oh
even
my
gonna say that name out loud. He just said.
do y'all think I should troll Nyla's live stream and play that?
Oh, that would be too funny. You go in when your intro song, play that song.
I think I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to actually. I'm so gonna do it. Because I haven't done that in a long time, so I'm gonna do that. I might start my next live stream doing that. 'Cause I used to do that a lot. Y'all want me to play I'm addicted? Okay, fine. Well, no, I can't. I'm not playing. I'm
She's
not
gonna
letting
troll
y'all.
Nyla with it. That's all right.
I I'm not gonna let y'all bait me into doing this. So I'm not going to. But I might troll a little bit later. I might troll a little bit later and do it. Do you know that we'll probably set Taz off? I can't.
He's just get ready for Taz to go off when you play that song. I'm gonna
I
be
because Taz will probably go all the way off. He will. He's gonna get Taz. So it's gonna go off if I do that.
When
And
is
it's gonna be fun.
Nyla's stream? What time is her stream?
10 o'clock on 10. Well, 10 o'clock for me, but I'm on Eastern time. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so but thanks for everybody for watching and the mods for modding. And again, Care Urban Woman Spirit, thanks for joining me. And I will see you guys on the other side. I'm going to go watch those Supernatural episodes with Christian Keys in it.
Okay.
So,
All right, ladies. See y'all later. Bye.
bye.